Well, actually, we're real surprised at going real smoothly for our first day. I'd like to say this, that no other city in the United States is operating under a collection system like this one. This is a unique experiment, I should say, or a unique system, and no other city offers their citizens the opportunity to select the type of service they want. So this being the first day, naturally we expected some problems. But we're real pleased that we didn't get that many calls that we thought we would get. Now, there were some people who, for reasons we don't know, did not send a card back telling us which type of service they wanted. We didn't want to charge them the top rate of $3.50, so we couldn't call them all. We had 20,000 cards that were not returned, so we just assumed that they wanted to curb the lower rate. And now we are getting some calls from people who may have wanted the collector carry out but did not return a card, but we're making changes and including them in the next day.
It is in that spirit that I announce today that I am seriously considering running for the Republican nomination for governor. At the moment, I have been heartened by recent private polls that show real promise both for the Republican nomination as well as the general election. During the next few weeks, I will be weighing the many factors that must be considered in making such a decision. And I will make a declaration no later than the last part of January.
Mr. Eggers ran a fairly good race, all things considered, in the last election. Don't you feel that perhaps on this basis that he has laid the groundwork and he is known and it could perhaps run a better race?
Well, this will be resolved a little later, I believe. Certainly, Paul Eggers ran a wonderful race, and I think he would be an asset to the party, but as you are well aware, Mr. Eggers has not announced yet.
Being cared for in one of Dallas's major hospitals, such as here at Methodist, now cost an average of $5 to $6 a day more over the cost of the same care last year. Representatives of the 5 major Dallas hospitals made this joint announcement this morning. The reasons generally boil down to the same basic problems that plague the country. However, spokesman Glenn Scott of Methodist gave 3 specific causes.
The principal factor is an average 9% wage increase being given hospital employees, which is necessary to compete with salaries paid by Dallas business and industry and by other hospitals in the nation. We must do this if we are to continue to attract and keep the kind of employees needed to provide the best possible hospital care. Complicated new services and medical procedures which hospitals must implement to make new research discoveries available to patients also contribute to the cost increase, for they require additional equipment and additional skilled personnel. Finally, the costs hospitals must pay for supplies, materials, goods, and services continue to rise. The cost for hospital care is increasing over the nation, but the cost in Dallas is still well below that of many cities of comparable size. Our general hospitals are non-profit institutions dependent on patient fees as their principal source of operating income. We believe our patients and the entire Dallas public want us to continue providing the very best patient care which can be given, administered only by the most skilled, qualified, concerned people. This we pledge to do.
Semi-private rooms, which cost before around $35 a day, more or less depending on the hospital, now cost $40 a day plus. These increased costs are going to be borne by the public, the patients themselves. Hospital administrators say this is because hospitals, unlike business or industry, have no way to increase production or sales. And in addition, the Dallas major hospitals are non-profit institutions. The patients' fees, in most cases, are the major and sometimes sole source of operating funds. This is Teel Salaun in Dallas for Channel 8 News.
The Tarrant County Sheriff's Office has filed charges of murder against two brothers today after a preliminary investigation into a brawl at a Southside Fort Worth tavern late last night. Charged are 25-year-old Lee Rodriguez, Jr., who was found hiding under his house after the fight. Charged with him is his 23-year-old brother, Roberto Rodriguez. The charges resulted from the deaths of two persons, 24-year-old Garry Lynn Markham of Arlington and 46-year-old Paul Eugene Shorten of Fort Worth. According to the officers' reports, about 30 persons were inside the tavern when the fight broke out, apparently over a personal disagreement. The fight lasted more than a quarter hour and left the interior looking like a battlefield. When officers arrived at the scene, Markham was dead on the barroom floor. Shorten died after being taken to a Fort Worth hospital. Both the men had been stabbed numerous times. Another man, 29-year-old Raymond Alvarez, is near death with a gunshot wound in his chest. It might be noted here that a sign on the wall in taverns and stores that sell alcoholic beverages states the law against carrying guns on the premises. There is, however, no specific law against carrying a knife in those same places. In this case, the two dead men were stabbed to death with knives that are considered legal under existing state law. This is Gene Thomas, Channel 8 News in Fort Worth.